guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here, and welcome to the continuation of 85 Years of Kong this March. I'm your host, Jack Buchanan, and today we're doing another commentary, this time on the sequel that was released the exact same year as the original with Son of Kong. I am here once again joined by the amazingly talented Nick Jackson of Jackson Knight Productions. How you doing, Nick?
Oh, it's so sweet of you to think that I am amazingly talented.
You've got a good opinion on monster movies and shit, so I figured I'd have you come back for Son of Kong.
I hate you so fucking much for this.
Well, anyway, so for this commentary, we're gonna get down to the point. All you need is your DVD copy of Son of Kong. If you got the Blu Ray, that works too. And you wanna bring it up to where it's a simple black screen, and then it's gonna fade into the NRE symbol. So, that's how this commentary is gonna work. So, we're all set to go on here. Yeah, so you just kind of just watched this movie, eh, Nick? Like, you watched this before me. I haven't seen this one in a while.
Yep, I watched this in preparation for my own review for my own 85 Years of Kong. I reviewed the original King Kong and its sequel, Son of Kong, all in one video.
I'd still say stick to March of Kong. That should be your shtick. The March of Kong. Okay, and also, I will put his channel in the link down below, so we're ready to go on that shit, so you guys can watch it down there. So, okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Let's hope you guys all have your DVDs and Blu-rays set up, and we're going to press play on my mark. Alright, 3, 2, 1, play! So the NRA, they're not in good hot water right now.
No, they are not.
So, I guess to get started, basically, Nick, you probably know the whole backstory of how the sequel got made, so I'll let you start the commentary.
Yes, indeed, I do know about how this movie got made. So, the original King Kong was a really, really, really big success upon its original release in 1933. I mentioned in the last commentary that it cost $670-something thousand to make, and it made $2.3 million in its box office. So upon this success, Marion C. Cooper went to the executives at RKO and said to them, hey, I want to make a sequel. And the executive said, okay, fine, sure. You're going to have some catches with that, though. The sequel would have half the budget of the original film, which is about $260-something thousand. And the film will be set to be released in December of the same year. And the reason for this was because the studio executives thought the audiences were stupid because they wanted the first film to be fresh in in people's minds, so they rushed this movie out only 10 months after the release of the original. And this movie did not do well financially. It only made about $600-something thousand, which, well, granted, that still was a lot of money back in the 30s. It still was a significant downgrade from the first film.
And I love just the opening to this, just showing all the new characters and everything. And then, what a way to start. Just show off the bat King Kong so you know what you're getting into, that this is a pure continuation of the original film. And honestly, for me, as a sequel that was rushed and so, like, very quickly put together, god damn, did Cooper and Schoedsack and everybody try their hardest to make a decent follow-up. Like, it might not have the same amount of effects and epicness as the first one, but as a continuation of its characters, that's kind of unnecessary, honestly, it does pretty well. I mean, the fact that we follow now, because Robert Armstrong as Carl Denham, he was so mysterious and kind of adventurous in the first movie, but by the third act he becomes kind of a villain. And not, like, fully, but you do kind of get the sense of, yeah, what he's doing is completely stupid, and you kind of don't want to root for him. But now here in the sequel, you now feel bad for him, and it's like, you know what? He is the main character of this entire first two films. It's not about Jack, it's not about Anne, it's about Carl Denham. And that's what I appreciate about this sequel. It's just like, they brought Robert Armstrong back, number one, which was a huge plus, but just the fact that it's his story, it's his movie, and that's what I appreciate most about this film. It's not like, especially with the sequel, it's not about the special effects, although they were they felt like they were thrown at the 11th hour. This is a pure story about Carl Denham. And that's what like. Robert Armstrong owns this movie completely.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree.
From what I heard, he had, was actually delighted to come back for another one because he figured, hey, you know, I'm a huge success with this Kong movie, so I'll come back for the sequel and I'll do another movie and just act my heart out. So he was really happy to come back. I know Fay Wray and Robert Armstrong were thought to have come back. Like, there were rumors that they were going to be in the movie, but they pretty much said no on the get-go. And I think that was probably for the best because, like, I think at that point their character arcs were finished. But I love this first opening here with Denham just really remorsing at the fact that, yeah, what I did was stupid. I should have left Kong at home. I should have just, like, left him there. And in my opinion, if I was in Denham's shoes, I would have just filmed everything on Skull Island. Because think about it. He didn't really lose the footage like in the Peter Jackson film. Because that was the motivation to bring him back, was that he lost the film. He lost the footage. So in my perspective, in this movie, he doesn't lose the footage. So why not just film a bit more of Kong, film more stuff, and you could have still released it and had something spectacular. But you can tell, like, he's learned from his mistakes and he's realized, wow, I fucked up completely. And now look at him, now he's flat broke. Everybody's on his ass. The cops, the lawyers, the city of New York is pretty much ratting him out with torches and pitchforks now. You got Victor Wan returning as Charlie the cook. He's back.
There's some shots in this movie where the black and white almost has a greenish tone to it.
It kind of does, actually. And it also fits the poster, too, as well, which I like. It's just, like, everything's kind of green. I don't know if it was done intentionally, but I do like...
I love the poster for this.
Yeah, the poster's great.
You've got a nerve. I got everything, lady. And I buy everything.
But now you have this guy who is a complete creepo.
Hey, you fresh guy. Mrs. Hudson. Mr. Carlton.
Well, I'll be... Hello, Mickey.
Hello.
Have a heart, will you? That's 15.
Mickey, that just...
If here's Mickey, where's Rocky?
I know, right? You're gonna eat lightning and crap thunder. You're gonna eat lightning and crap thunder, Carl.
Mental language and sprained anger to
But, yeah, so the idea for this film was just the fact that Cooper wanted to do something a little bigger than the first. He had the idea that, like, one of the major scenes that I've heard of, especially from the Ray Morton book, The History of the Movie Icon, was that when Denham got to Skull Island, when they find the abandoned ancient wall, and it's just crowded with creatures and dinosaurs, and a lot of the natives have kind of been run out of it, and the creatures kind of took over. And there was also supposed to be a huge dinosaur stampede on par with O'Brien's stampede sequence from the 1925 Lost World. And they were going for something a lot bigger. And I think Kong was actually kind of, especially Kiko, was kind of a last-minute idea. It was just more to be more of just an adventurous dinosaur movie. But that's one of the reasons you don't, like, the reason, obviously, you don't see that happening in this film is because they cut the budget in half, so Cooper had to scrap most of the major sequences entirely, which really disappointed Willis O'Brien.
I am of the belief that had this movie not been rushed, like had it been given an even $700,000, this movie could have surpassed the first film easily.
I really think that could have been the case. I honestly think that would have done really well. And then we got Frank.
That seems to be a trend in Hollywood when they make sequels. Is that, like, look at the Planet of the Apes movies, for example. The first Planet of the Apes movie cost, I think it was like $6 million. So for the sequel, they cut the budget in half to maximize profits, which I've never understood. If you can accomplish as much as you can with $6 million for a first film, if they give them just a little more, they can accomplish so much more. I've never understood slashing the budget in half, ever.
I think it's mostly because at the time, too, you gotta remember, especially with Planet of the Apes, and especially this movie, sequels were very unheard of. Nobody thought about sequels and franchising back then, especially in the 30s. You know, a movie comes out and that's it. Nobody thinks, hey, let's make another one. Let's make a continuation. Like, really, that was only for things like the Saturday afternoon serials like Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, and that was before television. And really, and even then, when a sequel was made back then, they were mostly letdowns and they mostly failed. It wasn't really until Star Wars came out and with Empire Strikes Back that sequels started to become more popular than the first film. But back here, from the 30s till like the 80s, sequels were mostly crap. Except for something like this. Like, I actually think this is a decent sequel. And it just really...
Empire Strikes Back sucks.
It's a complete continuation of the original Kong. But you got Frank Reacher coming back as Captain Englehorn. He still has the Venture, which is great. It's kind of a little story. But you also see some of... He's been going through a shithole time, too. Because, like, even, like, the press and the government of New York are starting to come after him because they realize, hey, this is the ship that brought Kong back. Let's sue him, too, because we ain't getting anything out of Denim. And that leads to them just going on another adventure and just, you know, making a living just doing shipping and stuff. So they got out of there very quickly, which is a real plus in the story. They got out of New York really quick. And we don't see New York for the rest of the movie. It was only like the first 5 minutes. I love this little montage, too. It just feels a lot lighter than the first one, too, is what I do kind of like with this one. And it's been said, too, that when they made the sequel, they said because when the budget got cut in half, Cooper simply said, if you can't make it bigger, then make it funnier. That was his saying when he got the budget cut in half, and that's why it's a bit more lighthearted than the first. And, of course, the effects were able to improve, so you got, like, things like cartoon birds and stuff on real locations, which is a major plus. So even though the budget was cut in half, you can tell they've improved the effects work.
That's a green screen.
Well, it's actually it's rear screen projection, which is what they use back in backgrounds.
Same difference.
Blue screen wasn't really used much in the Kong films. It was used in the original, but it wasn't really used until really King Kong vs. Godzilla was the first major Kong film to use blue screen material in the film, and in that film you can clearly see the matted lines in that.
Yeah, that doesn't help that piece of shit.
And I love this too. There's a little bit of like kind of conversations between Denham and Englehorn that like even Englehorn got curious about Kong's Island. It wasn't called Skull Island back then, but it was just called Kong's Island. But even Englehorn's kind of like, I've been checking here and there. It's almost like the two characters have the island has given them kind of a pull to come back. It's still on their minds, and they're thinking, you want to go back? Like, the whole movie, they're like, you want to go back? Nah. You want to go back? Maybe. You want to go back? Okay, fine, let's go back.
Fuck it.
Oh,
And I actually agree with Captain Englehorn here. This show, it really is terrible.
Yeah, but you can still see, even though Denham is now broke, and he's not a film man anymore, he's not a producer or anything anymore, he still has a enthusiastic, like, thing for show business, which is what I really like about his character too.
This scene is just mean.
It's funny, you hear this music in the background. It sounds exactly like the music from there's a Simpsons episode where Homer gets like in trouble dancing with a belly dancer and they use this music. So I don't know what this music's from, but like I know it's popular. You gotta give him credit, though, for using actual real monkeys in this scene. Just the awkward... It's so cute! I mean, it's stupid. It's shit.
It's dumb.
But it's cute.
Pain. It's pain.
I will admit, yeah, there's parts of this movie that do kind of drag a little bit, but you're in for it with, like, Denham and the characters. That's what's most important about this film. Is that you just really, you're there for the characters, you're not there for really anything else. Now this guy, I know this guy here, the circus owner, I know he's been in a couple of other films, and I don't know if he was a regular
in... look on Englehorn's face.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how can you think this is good? This is garbage.
But I was just gonna say, this actor, I think, has been in a couple of Universal monster films. I'm not too sure. He's probably just a background character. But I know he's been in a few other films. I just can't remember for the life of me his name. And then you have, finally, yeah, Denham gets a love interest in the sequel. That's another plus to this, you know, like, he couldn't get it with Anne, and I always like to think in the original that Denham and Driscoll were kind of at knots with each other, trying to get with Anne Darrow. Obviously, Jack got the better end of the stick. But here, also, Denham gets a girl, and not bad looking at the time.
And she's so much of a better actress than Fay Wray.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe. I can kind of agree with that. Now, this song is actually, I was just going to say, this song is played mostly in the score. You'll notice it from time to time. This score is played up with Max Steiner's score.
Clarence Winston is the name of Hilda's father.
Okay. The actor?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, look at his resume. You've got the internet. Look at his resume and see what he's got.
I love Englehorn in this scene. It certainly isn't the voice. Love it.
And even Denham's, like, he's still got that entertainer enthusiasm with him, even though he doesn't do it anymore. That's what I like about it. He's still going on to, like, hey, you know, this person can be a star, this person can be a star. You know, it's like, when did we go from, like, King Kong to Gilligan's Island? That's what this looks like.
Selected filmography for Clarence Wilson. He's appeared in nearly 200 movies between 1920 and 1941, mostly in supporting roles such as an old miser or a grouch. He had notable supporting roles in films like The Front Page from 1931, Ruggles of Red Gap from 1935, and You Can Take It With You from 1938. He also played in several Our Gang comedies, most notably as Mr. Crutch in Shrimps for a Day, and School Board Chairman Alonzo Pratt in Come Back, Miss Pips, which was his final film. He was born in 1876, and he died in 1941 at the meager age of 64, approximately 3 weeks before the release of Come Back, Miss Pips.
Okay, so there's something there. I mean, I'm not too sure if, because I swear I've seen him in some of the Universal Monsters or other films like that. Although, you know what it is, too, is, like, having traveled the world and visited things like Cancun, Mexico, they have shows like these, and, you know, I've been to a couple of them, and I think it was mostly because I saw Son of Kong, and I'm like, I want to do the same thing Denham does, but just visiting some of those areas, it's just kind of cool to see these little shows, honestly. Even though, like, I mean, obviously you, Nick, you think they're crap, but it's like, honestly, like, the show, going down to those remote areas and just seeing little shows are kind of fun.
Wait, what do I think is crap?
Oh, just the show that they're putting on here.
Oh, yes, it is crap. And the only Universal monster movie he was ever in was Son of Frankenstein.
That's where I know him from. Okay, yeah, I swear. Oh, this scene, you know what, can I be honest here? This scene depresses me. It really does. Like, I get people have a couple of drinks once in a while, but just, whenever I see old people completely drunk off their ass, I feel so sorry for them. So, this hits home a little bit, just the fact that it's just like, this old motherfucker having too many drinks, and it's just sad. And then we're introduced to Captain Hellstrom, who is our villain of the piece, and I actually love this character. I love this character.
Smart man like you don't need a gun.
Yeah, like, you can tell, I forget who the actor's name is, but you can tell he's really having a ball with his performance, and he's really taking it seriously, which I really appreciate. He's playing a madman, essentially. And I don't know, like, today, if they did a remake of Son of Kong, who they would probably cast as this character. Again, this is just way too sad to watch. What's his name?
John Marston.
John
That's the
Marston,
name of the
okay.
actor.
I gotta admit, like, this fire scene is pretty well done. I don't know if they actually did burn the entire tent down, but because that shit goes up quickly.
And just beating it with your hat is just going to make it worse, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, so better to leave.
See, look, I swear that parts of this movie have a greenish tinge.
They do, kind of. I can tell that. It's probably because of the prints, because I think for a long time, Son of Kong, especially after its release, was completely forgotten about. And
I wonder why.
And it honestly only got, like, I believe, only one VHS release back in the 80s, and it wasn't until the advent of DVDs and when the Peter Jackson film came out that Warner Brothers finally put this out on DVD for the first time. And the thing is, too, with this is that it, I think it's mostly because maybe the original negative was in kind of some slight sour condition that some of the prints end up being a little green at times. But, that's the thing, so, like, that's probably why the color is as it is in the black and white filters. But, honestly, you could probably do a fix-up of this print and just, like, add a real black and white feel to it.
Or colorize it.
I think that actually did happen at some point. They did colorize Son of Kong, except it never got an official release.
Just like the original.
No, the original got a VHS release, but it's just never been released on DVD.
Needs to be.
It would be nice if they, like, Warner Brothers put out a brand new version of this, the original Son of Kong and stuff on a nice Blu Ray with the colorized version.
Maybe
and
they'll
everything.
do it for the 100th anniversary.
Some shit like that. Oh, don't think that too far. I'm gonna be, like, fucking 60 by that time. I'm old enough as it is.
You'll be in your 30s, because that's only 15 years from now.
Yeah, true.
Dope.
See, why now this feels like a set here. This feels like a set.
It is.
It's like, yeah, we got some leftover sets from the original. Let's just use them.
Just like for Skull Island. Lady, you'd be surprised.
I love the dialogue here. Like, I love that little bit hint to the original. I always love when sequels make reference to the first film. So, it's one of my favorite cliches in sequels, but it's just like, here it's just like, it's played as a joke, and that's why they said, if you can't make it bigger, make it funnier. And yeah, just their chemistry here really works well. Helen Mack and Robert Armstrong, they seem like they got along really well on set.
I actually kind of think that her acting is kind of poor for the first half of the film. Because look at the expression on her face. She has the same expression up until they reach Skull Island.
Yeah, it's like she's
like a female Keanu Reeves.
I was just gonna say, because like she seems so bitter and everything, obviously in the first half, but it's like once they get to Skull Island, she feels a lot more open and a lot more free to express herself. Which, give credit, that could be part of her character, and I really do like that kind of aspect to it.
God damn it! Now I got Keanu Reeves on my mind. Fuck! Why'd I have to watch John Wick today?
Whoa.
Yeah, that movie was okay.
Yeah. See, and I love this. Even Denham, after losing everything, is still giving, he's still he thinks positive about things. That's what I like about this character. Yeah, he doesn't always be in the dumps all the time. He actually tries to encourage others, and, even if they're in the shitty spot. And again, this was at the bottom of the Great Depression, so everybody was kind of down, but you've got people like Denham and characters and so on that just kind of say, hey, lighten up a bit, live a little, have some fun.
What money? The money that you magically pull out of your ass.
That's back then, jobs were probably a little easier to find than now.
Don't remind me.
And now you've got these two confronting each other, and, like, I love this cold stare she gives, like, yeah, I know what you did. I ain't gonna say shit unless you do something stupid.
I call this bad acting.
Really?
From both of them. Yeah, look at their faces. They just don't. They look like they don't give two shits.
It's probably shot in the morning or something, so they look tired.
Unless you were. How do you know what my father said to me?
You know what? This seems very Lucas acting, I'll be honest.
Where's Hayden Christensen?
Exactly, like, yeah, it's like she's acting like Hayden Christensen in fucking Star Wars. It's like, I don't like sand. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
And it gets everywhere.
But here, now, coming up here, I don't know if this is it, but I want to just say, hands down, coming up, I think this is it. This is hands down. This, yes, is my hands down my favorite scene in the entire movie. It's well acted, well written, well shot, well edited, well paced. It's hands down best scene in the movie. James Marsden's acting when he sees Denham for the first time and their whole interaction, fucking brilliant. I don't know why, just I love in movies when characters just interact with each other in a bar or a room or something and they're just chilling. Like, this, what do you think? Like, do you think this is probably the best scene in the movie?
Nah, not really.
I just think it's just, like, I don't know why. I can't say enough of this. This scene is, like, really well done. You know, we find out who...
Okay, there's a couple lines in this scene that I do like, and they're gonna come from Denham in just a minute.
I heard about you in Singapore. How you captured the biggest animal on Earth and taken it back to New York.
I can't say much.
Denham. And I just want to tell people about our good Lord and Savior diabetes.
This bit I love. This bit I love.
Sure, I'll give you half of everything I made out of King Kong. Love it.
Here.
No, 11 lawsuits and the privilege of being indicted by the grand jury.
That's what I love. It's just like how word has gotten around of Kong, and like when these two interact, they just start talking, like updating each other of how they've been. It's like two old buddies who haven't seen each other in years, and then they see each other like, oh shit, it's you, boy. But yeah, it's just there's not much I can say about the scene. I don't know what was going on in this shoot, but it's just well written, well scripted, well acted. Everything about this is, I could give a fuck less about Kiko or the dinosaurs or anything. I could literally spend an hour of this movie, the whole movie, just watching these two guys talk, and I'd be entertained. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a film called My Dinner with Andre. It's kind of the same scenario, where it's just the whole movie is just two guys talking at dinner for like an hour and a half, and just the conversations they have are fascinating. You feel like you're a part of the whole thing.
Sounds boring. Sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then they realize, wait, there's some treasure and stuff there. Why don't we all go back to Skull Island? So now we have a reason for them to go back, which I really love. And I love it. There's more dimension with the characters. They've both been scheming with each other. They've both been, strategizing on their own. It feels really genuine and real. And I love characters like that you see what they're always up to, and you get into their personality a lot more. And don't you just love the bar music in the background? It's just that stereotypical Western bar music.
I
was just thinking. You just stay around the corner of that bar, you see Han and Greedo, and Han shoots first.
Solo.
Yes, great. Yes, Hellstrom. As a matter of fact, I was just going to see your boss. Tell Jabba that I don't got his money. So, obviously, these two are having their chemistry. We don't know that she's gonna go sneak on board because I got nowhere to go.
You goddamn stowaway.
Hey, maybe that's where they got it for Kong 76. They based the stowaway on this bit from Son of Kong. Who knows?
Oh man,
I know, you've got to get to your review of that. We'll get to that, man. We'll get to that.
I don't want to review that movie. I really don't want to review King Kong Lives.
Don't. By the way, remind me to send you that tonight. I love it. We're discussing our plans in the middle of a commentary.
Well, there's not really much else going on, so what the hell else are you gonna say?
I'm just trying to improvise. But yeah, I mean, I like these two characters and how they're interacting and shit. Just, they do pretty good. Also, yeah, you wanted to bring up too that you think Max Steiner's score is better here than in the original.
Yes, I do. I do think it is better than the original.
I'm surprised he even got Max Steiner because he was a star in his own right after this. Because I think after that, a lot of studios were going after Steiner for music for their scores. I mean, even Warner Brothers at some point went to Steiner and he composed the score to Casablanca, which is considered one of the greatest films ever made. I kind of maybe agree and disagree on that, but he ended up composing the score to that. I think Gone with the Wind as well. I'm not too sure. But he was the John Williams of the time. He was the John Williams of the 30s and 40s.
Both movies are garbage. So is Citizen Kane.
Yeah, I think Citizen Kane is overrated. Didn't they come out the same year as this? I can't remember if this came out the same year as Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
No, I can't. Citizen came out in the 40s, I believe.
It came out in the 40s. Okay, that makes sense. I love even Hellstrom, how much of a cowardly slime of a villain he is in this. How he's just kind of like... He's already planning... Wow, Citizen Kane came out before this! Holy shit.
I said 1941.
1941. I thought 31. Okay, my mistake. But yeah, you've got Hellstrom here just really conniving and planning, obviously, the mutiny that's coming up. Then you got, obviously, more comedy! Yeah, this is where Max Steiner, I'll admit, gets a little cartoony. Okay, why don't you just report it? Just shout it. You don't need to tell every single individual person.
Well, there's a woman on board. Gotta get some of that poontang before the captain gets to it.
Or it's even it's like Gibbs in Pirates of the Caribbean. Bad luck bringing a woman on board, Captain. Is it me or does the ship look a lot different than the first one?
It does.
It's almost like
it looks smaller.
Almost as if the ship in the original was a set... Oh, wait a minute! It's almost as if they just got an actual ship for this and just, essentially just shot on real. This looks like this was shot outside on, a real ship. But yeah, so now he's got Helen now coming onto the ship with Denham and the gang. You can tell, it's almost like because the budget was cut in half, they had to pad it out with actual people. And really, honestly, the monsters don't show up until, two-thirds into the film. But,
well, Denham, you can use the rule of thumb.
It's the most awkward situation. You know what? Cue the Curb Your... It's like, cue the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme right here. You know, wah 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 ba ba da 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 do.
Dun 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 dun.
I love Denham's line there. Oh, look where we are now, just one big happy family. What? It's like a sitcom.
That is a rear projection.
That is obviously a rear projection, because again, back then you can't really, in any film you can't really film when a ship's at sea and on sail. Like even when I was making My Kong, when we shot on the ship that we used, we had to shoot it at the docks. We couldn't take it out to sea because, one, the balance of the boat, and two, it was a little bit more dangerous shooting out at sea when it's actually sailing. So most of it we had to park, and then we just basically shoot when we can. I'm sorry if there's not much to say in this commentary. It's just like there's not really anything interesting happening until we get to Skull Island.
And even then, it's so rushed, there's really not much to talk about.
Yeah, it's a bit more fast-paced. I mean, this is a lot more of a slower pace than the original, because you don't see Kong until halfway through, and then it becomes a straight-up action flick, but, like, here, it's very chill, as I would put it. It's a very chill movie. It's one of those movies you would probably watch on TCM at, like, 2 or 3 in the morning, and then you just, like, fall asleep right after. It's a good doozer. Kind of just put you to sleep. And now we're back on Skull Island, finally, and this is where I think the movie really starts to pick up a bit more. You got the natives, obviously, and this looks like it was, don't know if that was shot for real, or if that was just, like, a projector, and they just put brush in the foreground with some natives. And it's funny, because, like, we're finally on Skull Island, and you already forgot, like, wait, we're watching a King Kong movie, I completely forgot. You know, I thought I was just watching some stellar, weird, dry comedy. And of course, we have our mutiny.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this movie, I really did not see this coming.
I know, it's actually kind of well, it's put up in the when they're sailing, when Hellstrom comes on, but yeah, here it's like, oh shit. These are some badass, like, pirates we got here. And this is the thing, too. Like, especially in my remake, I do try to expand on how the crew are mostly just real cutthroats by the end of it. And, because Son of Kong really did explain that, so I'm like, yeah, I want to expand that in my remake.
Speaking of which, I would really go for a remake of this film.
Well, Peter Jackson, as a April Fool's prank in his production diaries, had said he wanted to make Son of Kong, and it was going to actually have Andero come back and, take care of Son of Kong out of respect for the original. And then, but it's interesting, he obviously was making a joke about, no, let's not make one sequel, let's make a fucking trilogy. And then they were going to make King Kong into the Wolf Slayer, where they bring Son of Kong over to fight creatures that the Nazis were creating in World War II, and it was just going to have Kong fighting mutant creatures.
Awesome.
They're fighting mutant creatures in Berlin. I'm like, okay, this is getting ridiculous, but I would kind of watch that. If it was...
That sounds so freaking cool, I'm not going to lie. Peter Jackson is an asshole for doing that.
Well, he did it as an April Fool's prank. The production...
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes him an asshole.
Well, God bless Peter Jackson. I still like him. He's came up with some of the best movies ever made.
I'll be seeing you again. I hope.
Oh, I hope. Ah.
They throw you off too? No, throw off. Get off. We don't like them men.
This is the thing I love too. Is even Charlie. She's like, "Hey, I didn't get mutinized, but fuck these people. They're assholes." Oh, you'd be surprised, man. I mean, you know what? Why would he say that to him? Why would he say that to him? Carl Denham, this motherfucker shot a Stegosaurus in the head in the first movie. He shot a Stegosaurus pop square in the head. Don't say he doesn't need a gun. Yeah, I'm sorry, he's more of a badass than any of you put together. He shot a dinosaur.
He also bombed Kong.
Well, he just gassed him, but he didn't shoot him.
I'm taking command of force.
another question, like, what happened to these guys afterwards? Did they just go on to be, like, pirates or something?
Who knows? Oh my god, that's the most pathetic takedown I've ever seen in my life.
See, that would be a good, like, kind of backstory. There, go fan fiction writers. Write a backstory, like, an after story about these guys, and they end up becoming, like, pirates and, like, smuggling loot and everything. Like, I want to see a whole book on these guys and what happened to them. Obviously, stuntman. Now, funny, I just imagine somewhere in the background is Errol Flynn with his arms, with his hands at his side, just going, ha 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 ha! Like in fucking Robin Hood, he's just laughing his ass off.
I love Carl's reaction when he sees Hellstrom. Wow! How nice to see you again, under the circumstances.
You could tell this was played for laughs, and I love that. Like, they were able to come up with some actual jokes in this film. And a little bit of reissue of Max Steiner's score from the original film as we finally get to Skull Island. I do like how, even though Max Steiner did create new themes for this film, he's able to still use older themes from the first film.
Recycle a lot of other music. Yeah.
And you have Noble Johnson coming back for a small little role as the native chief. It's like not even a small role, it's a cameo. It's like, yeah, you call me a rat. It's like, you call me a rat, asshole. You had our god destroy our village. Don't call me a rat.
Hey, just throw that, you rat. I grabbed that spear just for the hell of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, extra item in case you get attacked by more dinosaurs. This looks like this was mostly probably shot in an afternoon.
Probably, yeah. I love how Charlie always has his trusty meat cleaver.
And then you got the classic Skull Island theme coming back. Now, this is mostly real, them in probably a tank or something, and the rest is matte painting and foreground glass painting, which is really nice. And I think they've been able to improve the effects more in this film than they did in the first. And this is that's a rear screen and a rear screen projection of a miniature of the cavern. You can tell because the water was probably a little bit more lighter than real water in that scenario. It feels a lot more like mini.
This shot here really doesn't hold up.
It doesn't hold up, but at least it's cool looking. I think it looks cool. You gotta remember, because now we're spoiled so much with digital technology, you gotta remember this is before CGI and before it was easier to make films, but this back then you gotta have some real effort put in. Now, obviously you have the actors in front of a foreground set, maybe the boat is pulled via like a pulley system, or hell, maybe it actually is water, and then in the background you have miniature water, which is a pretty impressive shot. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, these shots, I mean, at the time, they don't look as, like, they don't hold up, but, like, back then, they were pretty impressive stuff. It's weird, though, because you don't think, like, oh, this is probably a safe place, but then later on you find out, holy shit, there's a giant fucking dragon lizard thing in that pool there, so, like, where was he the whole time? Well, funny enough...
Less said, the better. No, just shut up.
Well, funny enough, originally in the Edgar Wallace draft of Kong, Anne and Jack were actually escaped convicts, and they held Anne hostage, and they took a boat to the island, and when they were getting to the island, they were attacked by a brontosaur in the water, and that's how they get marooned there, and that's how they come across Denham.
I'm not gonna lie, I would love to see an adaptation of that original script. I love this scene. Smart man, like, you don't need a gun.
Ah!
I swear that dude reminds me of Mr. Miyagi.
And then, of course, we go up this little cliff, and here's Son of Kong, or Kiko, or Little Kong, or whatever name
Not
you go
a very
by.
good intro, if you ask me.
It's kind of just like, hey, you know, here he is, here's the title character of the movie. Okay, then where's Lady Kong?
I'm not gonna lie. I actually think from here on out the movie itself is just one big giant retcon. Because I believe that Kong was the last of his kind in the first film.
I don't
If you just watch it, if you watch his body language, he's just so obviously alone on the island.
You know, I like
And not to mention, simians have a very close parental bond to their offspring, so it doesn't make sense that Kiko would be nowhere near Kong throughout the film.
Well, I like to consider that maybe, like, Kiko isn't actually Kong's son. Maybe he's just another breed of gorilla, and maybe they've crossed paths. I like to think, if anything, he's an adoptive son, but not an actual breeded son of Kong, in my opinion. Because think about it, they're two totally different creatures. Kong is more, Kong, Son of Kong is basically an albino gorilla. So, even then, it's like, I don't think, honestly, he is the real, like, legit, what do you call it, legit Son of Kong, essentially. He's just another species of gorilla that happened to be on another side of the island.
And I like the design for Kiko, and I actually think Kiko is a very, very underrated monster.
Oh, he is! He's a very underrated monster. I wish there was more of him. Like, hell, I wish, honestly, if Toho continued to make Kong films, they should have brought in Kiko, and then had a Kiko Minya side movie. There's something for Toho to do. The Adventures of Kiko and Minya.
Oh, God.
Exactly. Then both parents are just like, shut the fuck up. We're drinking beer. I love this line that Englehorn is like, wait, a little... How little? The thing is, too, with Denim as well, which I like, is that when he realizes that there's another gorilla, it kind of gives him a chance to kind of redeem himself. Because I think for most of the film, and even after the events, he's like... He feels so sorry for what he did to Kong that this is his way of redemption, in a sense. Which is another... Like, this isn't even a Kong movie. You could easily just call this Denim's Redemption, the movie. Now, obviously, you got more of the sets from... that were probably recycled from the original that they had on standby. So yeah, now we've gone from Kong very quickly to now an Indiana Jones movie.
You and I need to do commentaries for the Indiana Jones films.
I haven't seen them as often, so I think I'd just be more fascinated with watching them.
So would I, but still, those would be a lot of fun.
Those would be fun.
Well, actually, no. Rares of the Lost Ark you'll have to do yourself, because I have no desire to watch that again.
Anyway, so... Yeah, again, Helen comes back on the adventure and everything, and... Oh my god, there's just not much to talk about this movie! Ugh. It's like, you know, we finally see the dinosaurs in Kong and everything, and it sounds like, oh, let's go back to that. I love how even this movie has, like, Star Wars wipes.
Yeah, those are cool. Well, actually, no,
Now here, just very quickly, we have the Styracosaurus finally in this film, and the Styracosaurus...
It's probably the best, in my opinion, it's the best animated film, or not film, it's the best animated creature in this film.
Oh yeah, it looks phenomenal, and that's mostly due to the fact that, like, the Styracosaurus was originally supposed to be in Kong. Originally, the idea is during the log scene is that, you know, you have Kong on one side and you have a creature on the other. Originally, they wanted to use a Arsinotherium, but they reanimated it again with a They reanimated it again with a Styracosaur, and unfortunately, along with the Spider Pit scene and the Triceratops quicksand scene, it got cut out from the film, and it finally made it into Son of Kong. Now, Peter Jackson actually still owns that puppet. He actually owns the Styracosaur puppet. And then, okay, the cave bear I don't really understand is on Skull Island.
I don't either. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think it's a cool idea. I mean, I say this in my review. The cave bear is Kiko's T-Rex.
Well, I think it would also make sense to have a bit more, a few more, like, more mammals on the island than just, like, dinosaurs. Know what this is? This is Kiko versus Grizzly. It's fucking Grizzly!
This is the best fight in the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks great. Again, Willis O'Brien perfected his craft doing the animation in this film. You got more rear screen projection in the at the top there, and then you have Kong animated, so they're both being done frame by frame. So you can really tell that O'Brien really improved his techniques from the original, which is a major plus. Is it me or does Kiko look like the abominable snowman from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Rankin Bass special?
Yeah, there's a slight similarity, but I still think Kong from King Kong Escapes looks more similar.
Yeah, he does. Like, just imagine, picture the King Kong Escapes Kong, but white. There, the abominable snow monster from Rudolph. Again, it feels very animalistic with these two fighting. You have, Kiko biting and the bear slapping. That was a major bitch slap he just gave him there.
Yep. And I'm sure the pain of it is just unbearable.
God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it! I love that. He's like, why don't you give him a noogie while you're at it, Kiko? You're playing it for laughs anyway.
And I find it funny that these two are fighting tooth and nail, but Kiko barely has a scratch on him.
Oh my god, the puns! Ugh! Now you totally forgot how you just knocked him out. Like, you just knock him out in his head or something? Hey look, I killed! I finally killed!
And now the bear hero is just thinking, no, I can't bear a defeat.
Okay, that's enough of the puns. You've had your stripes. I can't bear these puns. There you go. But wait, I just want to teach you the bare necessities. Oh God, Mowgli, help! I love how just Kong just picks up a tree and just knocks him out like Negan in The Walking Dead.
Flipping off the audience. That is just a very wooden performance.
Well, it could be worse. It could be, Ape, when he flips the bird directly at the audience. Surprised there weren't rip-offs of Son of Kong. There wasn't, Son of Ape, Son of Mighty Peking Man, Daughter of Queen Kong.
Cousin of Gorgo.
Just fucking, no. Weird, creepy uncle of the mighty Gorga.
Grandson of Konga.
Oh, God. I haven't seen Konga in a while. I should probably rewatch that.
I have no desire to ever watch Konga.
It's actually not half bad.
Still, I have no interest in seeing it. It looks like a piece of shit.
It is, but the best thing about it is Michael Goff.
Michael Goff sucks. Except as Alfred.
Oh, as Alfred's great, yeah. But yeah, again, you have here with Denham feeling more remorseful for the Son of Kong. Now, I love this shot here because you've got an animated figure in front of a rear screen projection, animated frame by frame. You've got the Kong animatronic hand that was probably recycled from the first film, just painted white, and you've got the actors interacting with it, so at least there's something there for them. It's a pretty impressive shot for the time. Unfortunate for the time, too, Willis O'Brien, this was at the time his career started to take a huge, major shit show, and his wife, shot his two sons and then killed herself. And this was probably right after the film came out. And so, even though Willis O'Brien was doing really well with his animation and everything, his life was just real shit.
Still struggled to find work later in life.
Yeah. I mean, after this, he really didn't pick up again until, Mighty Joe Young, and even then, he did things like the giant behemoth and this black scorpion, but those are really the only big films he did, and then he passed away because of heartbreak due to Toho stealing his idea, essentially. It was probably his health, too, but, like, really, that's what broke the camel's back, essentially, for him. Now there! Now he's flipping them off! Now, look at that! Now he's flipping them off.
Now he's jacking off something in the imaginary air.
So now you have.
You know what else we need to do? We know what else we need to do a commentary for? The original Mighty Joe Young.
That would be something to do. Maybe next year or something. I might pull something out, or sometime down the road I might do that. This is impressive too. You've got like obviously a miniature set, and again rear screen projection. They were able to improve the projection work and make it a lot easier to work on, and you've got more kind of challenging shots now because you've got like more wide shots and everything.
Have you ever had coconut?
I've had coconuts. They're actually not bad.
Disgusting.
So now we have this scene where it's very kind of nice, calm scene. I love that shot there of like the miniature background, and that's more like a painting, I think. And yeah, this scene is just kind of, you know, you get more character development, and, you know, obviously Kiko comes in a little later. Just trying to think what else there is to talk about this film. It's really difficult to, like, not necessarily talk about it, but you also don't want to bash it much because, like, you know they're trying, essentially. Because, you know, like, it's almost the equivalent of, like, watching something really boring with your, like, with going to your parent or your kid's school play, and it's so boring, but you don't want to say anything because you're saying it because your kids are in it.
Oh, if something's boring, I'll call it out. I don't give two fucks.
Yeah, normally with a movie, either it has to be boring or it has to be really bad to be like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Son of Kong is just, you gotta be in the right mood for it. It's very kind of a chill, relaxed movie. Again, it's one of those movies you put on if you're, like, about to go to bed. Something to put on for you to fall asleep on.
What would you classify Kong King of the Apes as?
Oh, that's just unwatchable. And it's funny because, like, I got a comment from one of the animators on my review saying, like, yeah, we all know what we signed up for. We know it's shit, but we did it for a paycheck. So I'm not going to blame them. I just know, like, they were probably paid by the network to do something, and they just did what they could. But even then, it's like, yeah, it's total garbage. I love shots like that. Like, I don't know. It's probably a close-up miniature projection, and then, like, Kiko is animated in the middle, but that's a pretty impressive way to, like, pull off a shot, especially with some possible dialogue.
I actually wouldn't mind the second season of Kong King of the Apes.
I'm gonna pretend you even said that. One more thing out of you and you're out of this commentary. Now you got more miniature sets with miniature birds. That's a very pretty shot, actually. Very well done. It almost feels like you could kind of tell the island is actually starting to sink a bit because you can notice how things are starting to shrink down a bit more ground-wise. Nothing doesn't feel as green and lush as before.
Here's your gun.
So now you have, obviously, these two characters get back. They finally come back.
We don't have sticks.
So now you have, essentially, Denim and Helen now gonna probably be looking for the treasure. And it's funny how, like Engelhorn and Hellstrom and Charlie ended up, oh, this is funny. Hands up, don't shoot! It's like, I didn't do it! I didn't do it!
I'm white, I didn't do it.
Oh, we're gonna edit that out.
I'm gonna edit that out. I don't know what.
So yeah, they a lot again. There's not much to talk about with this movie. It's really hard to really discuss anything with this film. I mean, the camera tricks are nice.
I guess.
So yeah, it's like at this point we're like 10 minutes away from or 10 to 7 minutes away from the movie to be over, and we're finally, there's some more effects work and everything. This film was actually released on Super 8 at some point. They had released it on kind of a digest version and silent on the Super 8 format, and it's easily to come by on Facebook, on eBay and everything. You probably obtain a copy if you're a Super 8 fan. Again, a lot of great miniature projection work and stuff on around here, which is really nice. Obviously, Robert and Helen have something to interact with here, which is a plus. They really pull a lot of great shots using miniature and front projection. That's obviously weird.
In this shot.
That's a treadmill shot of like rear screen projection. It's like this set was like half rear screen and half real. Yeah, and that's the thing, too. Like, once they get the treasure and everything, it's like, what do they do with Little Kong? Do they just leave him there? Like, obviously they don't know if the island's gonna sink, but it's like, do they just leave him there? Do they just, like, come back once in a while? I know, one of Cooper's original ideas was to actually make a third film, and not even a third film, it was gonna be a, in-betweequel, as I call it, where they were going to show how Kong got back to New York, because that was one of the major flaws that people had when it came out. And the idea was that they were going to ship him to New York, and on the way down, they crash land in I forget where the islands were, somewhere in some other tropical island, and they have to go there and try to figure out how to get off the island with fuel and everything, and eventually there's all these other creatures that show up, so in order to save them, they have to basically leash Kong on the creatures to have them fight them, but then they gotta go and retrieve them back again. The thing is, too, with this movie is that there's a lot more, there's not really dinosaurs as there is more, like, kind of dragons and more mythological kind of creatures in this film. And I guess I don't know why they couldn't use other dinosaurs, but I guess this is probably the only option. And this creature feels hands down like something out of the giant behemoth that's like a prototype.
Yeah, very much so.
And again, Max Steiner reusing his score from the first film when Kong fought the giant Elasmosaurus. The same score is used here.
You never really hear Kiko's roar in this film, which I think is a little disappointing.
Yeah, it's mostly, is it recycled Kong roars? I'm not too sure.
I actually can't tell. I can't really hear them over the music and over the Nothosaurus screeching.
I think most of it was Murray Spivak doing the same technique he used in the original film, where he cupped his hands and made the sounds. For most of the time. And I know even in this film they recycled Fay Wray's scream for Helen's scream, I guess because Helen couldn't scream entirely, so they reused Fay Wray. It's very recycled to this film. Again,
yes,
recycled sets,
exactly.
recycled music, recycled sounds. And this sums up Kiko's performance, this shot here. It's just, oh well.
I love how Kiko wiped his hands right before he finally killed the thing.
Yeah, it just does that. That's a nice little touch to detail. And now we come to the finale, where, Hellstrom finally gets his comeuppance, and
This, from here on out, is when the movie really goes downhill for me.
well, it sinks. Literally, it sinks. Payback's a bitch, buddy.
Well, I just, whenever I get to this part of the film, it just gives me a sinking feeling that, oh, God.
Hey, you know what? In this commentary, guys, you know what? In this commentary, since the movie is more funny, we can be more funny with this commentary. This creature's actually kind of cool. It looks like almost they recycled the animatronic brontosaur and just, like, repainted it up to look like a different creature. Now, also, I think Max Steiner and as well as some of the effects here were reused in the last days of Pompeii, and they reused a lot of the miniature shots and the musical score to kind of, like, pad out Pompeii, which Cooper did with RKO.
It really just falls apart for me.
Your puns are terrible. I do like these miniature shots. They're actually pretty impressive for the time. And again, miniature shots mixed with... Yeah, very rocky, yes. Miniature projections, there's stop motion mixed with it. I think it's almost like, this is where maybe a quarter of the budget was to this stuff. Which, for the time, looks really impressive. And this is where the whole mythological thing came up of how Skull Island actually sank. That's why you don't see... It's pretty much sequel-proof at this point.
Sadly. I absolutely hate the ending to this film. It's just garbage.
See, I love that little add to detail of the brontosaur coming out, like, wait, at the time, it's like, don't brontosauruses swim or something, but that's a nice little touch to detail. The movie itself just feels really just too lighthearted for something like Kong.
And my one question is, why does Kiko have to die?
So that they don't make any more sequels?
It's just not just for this movie and not just for King Kong, but for a lot of monster movies, why does the monster always have to die?
I think it's because it's been done since the original. It's like, yeah, you have to basically build up the fact that you really are scared and afraid of this monster, and then it's only by the end it's like, wow, I feel bad for it. That's been a cliche as old as time. It's even Beauty and the Beast has that aspect when the book was created, was that the monsters are just kind of only sympathetic by the very end, and then because it reprograms your judgment in a sense. I will admit, it is pretty sad though to see Kiko just kind of just go down like this. Though it is really sad.
Die.
It is a pretty sad ending, though, I will admit. Because, like, man, you just want one of these monsters to live, for God's sakes. Must have been very tiring for these actors that day to be, like, wet and covered and everything. What a great shot, though. That's a good shot, though, of just Kiko's hands going down. It's almost like a prototype to Terminator 2. Except in this one, he won't be back.
Nope. Not unless they remake this movie.
Well, even then, I think they'd sink the island then, too.
If they did, I would be very miserably disappointed. In fact, here's a really crazy idea that I've actually had it for a little while now. I've always thought about doing an animated remake of both the original King Kong and also Son of Kong.
And just have it where it's just like, it's a little bit better than before. You have a bit more, kind of more storylines to add to it.
Well, I wouldn't really change the original all that much. In fact, okay, this may sound like blasphemy, but there's a lot of things in Son of Kong that I like a lot more than in the original. So I think if I was to remake the original King Kong, I would basically leave it pretty much the same, even with Kong dying. But when it came to Son of Kong, that's where I would really start to change things. I would keep the first half the same, but once they reach Skull Island, it's a lot longer, for one thing. I'd have it be almost 3 hours long. It's just a lot of the film is them surviving on Skull Island fighting against the natives who are pissed off at them, and also meeting up with Kiko. And they make friends with Kiko, and they spend a few years on the island with Kiko basically as their pet / guardian.
That would actually be a good idea for a sequel. It would be a good way to expand on it a bit more. I wouldn't make it as funny, but I would make it like, it's almost like taking...
Well, I would have it with some humor, but not like have it be a full-blown action comedy. I would actually kind of have it more like Logan, where it's more of a serious film, but there are still some humor. There's some humor in the film here and there.
Yeah, so... Although this ending is kind of nice of just these two, that Denim finally has somebody, like a love interest, and they end up, together, and they just like, hey, let's just split the whole treasure thing 50-50, which, hope to God they get enough money to, like, do what they want to do. That treasure would probably cost a lot.
That large, yeah, they'll be willing to get at least several million.
Yeah, probably more than they made on Kong. More than what Denim made. So,
I bet you at least 1/3 of what they get will go to paying off Denim's debt.
Exactly. So that's it, I guess, for this film. I overall had fun with it, even though, like, it was a bit of a bore and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary, even though we didn't have much to say. We just want to get this out there for you guys. So, of course, subscribe to Nick Jackson at Jacksonite Productions. Link to his channel down below, or in the end annotations or whatever. And I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. So for now, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. This is BigJackFilms, and Nick Jackson signing off for now. Take care, guys.
Later.